Okay, so now we're just missing one more step to get our jump working back again with our character. So now we just need to refer everything we've done on the blueprint of our character. Okay, so we're gonna go back to our my character blueprint. So we already said that our input action is gonna trigger the jump function. That's good. But we haven't specified the input mapping context that we did just here, right? So in order to have that set up properly, we're gonna first get a node here called getPlayerController. So this node right here basically is used to get the control, basically to gain the control of how our player is going to move. So we're gonna first put this one, and now we're gonna connect it there. So basically drag from the return value, connect with one that is gonna be called in the following way, ENH. And then when you just type ENH, you're gonna get this suggestion down here called get enhanced input local player subsystem. So go ahead and select that. Okay, so this node right here is basically needed in Unreal Engine for when we are gonna change the input mapping of a player. Okay, so basically we have to use this one whenever we change any type of inputs through the controller. Okay, so we're gonna need this one here. Then finally, we are going to connect this with the mapping context that we created. Because so far we just created the controller, then the input player subsystem. So finally, we're gonna do one called add mapping context. In this one, we're gonna specify exactly how we're gonna change the input of the player. So in this node, one thing that we can see is this second entry called mapping context. Basically, here is where we specify how are we going to change the input with which keys. That's where the mapping context that we did earlier is gonna come in handy. So we're gonna choose from this submenu, my IMC, that's the one that we just did, right? So we select that. And now in this way, we're basically set, okay, for my player, using the input system, let's map the input with this input mapping context that we did, okay? And remember, the input mapping context has the key of the spacebar set so that when it triggers, it jumps. Okay, so basically, it's gonna do everything we had from before, the jumping action, but now through proper input nodes from Unreal Engine. Okay, so I know it seems like much more work to get to the same result, but this is something that we need to know because for later, we're gonna have different type of inputs, not just jumping. We're gonna have running or grabbing, crouching. So all of these that we're doing here is gonna come in useful. Okay, so now we're almost done. We just need one more thing, which is this mapping context is not really receiving any entry here. You see this is empty. So we're gonna drag this event begin play that it's disabled, and then we're gonna connect it with our mapping context so that basically when the game begins, remember this node means when the game begins. When the game starts, then we map this input mapping context for our player. Okay, so now let's compile and save. And then when we run this, we should be able to jump same as we did before, but now using all these different input assets from Unreal Engine that we need to know.